This is Chapter 1, Lecture Notes. So you can go ahead and open up a blank document if you want to follow along. The idea behind these lecture notes are that you will be able to follow along / pay attention and learn how to do the different things that are on the assignments. Once you complete the assignments, then so on and so forth, you'll be able to do the practice quizzes, then the quizzes, and then the actual test itself. So we're going to open up a blank Word document. And then notice that automatically this home tab is the default tab selected. Okay. So next we're going to kind of go over what each of the different terms are so that when I'm saying them, you can kind of know what I'm talking about. So the home ribbon, so this is the ribbon, the blue part, right? So it's a nice pretty bow on top, is basically divided into groups. Okay. So these would be called tabs. All right. So each of these is a tab. So if I say something along the lines of click on the layout tab, you go click on the layout tab, right? And then each of these sub areas are considered groups. Okay, so like let's say I ask you guys to go to the review tab and the tracking group, right? So that'd be right there. So go ahead and find the home tab and find the paragraph group. Okay, so home tab, and then we have over here the paragraph group. Okay, and then we also have what's called the dialog box launcher. Okay, so that is going to be these little squares with the arrow, right? So if I said click on the home tab, go to the font group, and open up the dialog box launcher, you would click there, and that's going to open up a whole nother menu for you. Okay, another thing that a lot of students struggled with last year is that they didn't realize when they'd have their screens minimized. Okay, so they'd have their screens something like this, and so it automatically limits what you're actually able to see. So you want to make sure that if you're having a hard time finding things, go ahead and maximize your screen, and that will definitely help you find what you're looking for the most part. Okay, so let's go through here. Okay, so as far as most of you guys are probably aware of this, but when I click these drop down arrows, it's going to show up a lot more options. Okay, so anytime there's an arrow, you'll want to click on that. So for instance, if we want to add bullets, instead of clicking on the actual bullets, you'd click on that drop down arrow because then it's going to show you all your options. Okay. All right, so go ahead and if you're following along, go ahead and type in mini toolbar. Okay. And then when you guys have that typed in, you can go ahead and select the word toolbar. So you'll click and drag. So it'll highlight those words. And now notice that there's a mini toolbar that appears. Okay. So up here, this is the mini toolbar. So it doesn't have anything extra. It's basically, it still has everything that was up here. Okay, but that's the mini toolbar. Okay, and then when I click anywhere or get off of it, then that's going to disappear. Okay, so now this time, let's go ahead and we'll highlight the word toolbar, and we're going to right click on that word. That is going to bring up the mini toolbar, right, which that's the one up above that we just saw, but it's also going to open up a shortcut menu when I right click. Okay, so that shortcut menu has a couple different options. All right, so we have the shortcut menu and then we have the mini toolbar. Okay. All right, so we're going to click off of that now. And now we're going to access the quick access to toolbar. So we're going to hover over the icons on the quick access toolbar. So let's see where that is. It's going to be right here. Okay. So when I click on that, I can actually change what shows up on this quick access toolbar. Okay, so this is the quick access toolbar, right? So this one right here is the save. This right here is the undo typing or the backspace. You can also do auto typing and whatnot and see kind of what I've typed, right? So I can kind of go back X amount of options. We also have the repeat typing, the new blank document, and then the open option. Okay, so I can actually change what shows up on there. Okay, so let's, Okay, so now we're going to look at what's known as the access keys. All right, so in order to do that, we need to press the Alt key on the keyboard. So that's just to the left of your spacebar. So you'll press that, and then while you're holding that, you'll press the letter H. Okay. So notice once I do that, it's gonna you see all these different characters that pop up on your screen. Okay. So basically, in order to maneuver those, we press the letter that we want. So, for instance, if I want to do design, oh, why didn't that work? Pause. Okay, that's why. Okay, so in order to access the quick access keys, I just push Alt. Okay, so that Alt key to the left of your spacebar. So now let's say I want to select references. I would push the S key on my keyboard, and now I've selected references. And then let's say I want to manage sources. That's an M, so I push M. Okay, so that would pull that up. So that's beneficial if for whatever reason your mouse isn't working on your laptop or whatnot, or for whatever reason, if you're unable to go click on things, you can always use that, right? So I want you guys to practice. Go ahead and go to design. Okay, so push the Alt key so that we have those options. So I want you to go to design. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Okay, so if I push G, that takes me to design. Okay, and then I want you guys to set as default. Okay, so that's going to be D. Boom, look at that. Okay, so that is the access keys. Now, backstage view. This is something we use quite a bit, and you guys are very familiar with it. You just aren't used to it being called backstage view. So backstage view is file. When I click on file, that takes me to backstage view. Okay, so this is considered backstage because it's not on the main, right? It's not the document. It's not the main part of the document. So when I click file, it takes me to backstage. Okay, and then we have a couple different options. Okay, so if I need to get out of backstage view though, I'd click the back button. Okay, let's see. So let's go ahead and let's get out of backstage. We'll talk about backstage later, but just be aware that is backstage. Okay, and then now as far as displaying non-printing characters, we use this quite a bit in Word, guys. So remember this symbol right here, it's the show hide symbol. Okay, and that's what's considered the non-printing characters. All right, so when I click on that, it will automatically show up with these symbols. So like when I hit enter, right, it shows me each line. And what that does is it lets you visualize kind of which areas are formatted differently, right? So if I had two different formats, it would actually have two different symbols. But it also lets you see where blank lines are. So again, the show hide option is right there. So if I click it, it disappears, right? It's kind of an on-off switch. Now remember, when I say show hide, you've got to click on that option, but these symbols will not print. So if I were to print something, these are basically invisible to the printer. Okay, but it allows you to see the different formatting within your document. Okay, so that is it for chapter 1.